The secular script for masculinity has typically focused on career success. It has not placed enough emphasis on the role that fatherhood plays in men's sense of masculine fulfillment. In fact, in the media today, if anything, fathers are mocked and ridiculed. Right? The Homer Simpson stereotype, the dim-wit dad, the bumbling idiot. So as a result, a lot of young men do not see fatherhood as something to aspire to. And yet the facts are clear that fathers are crucial. On the negative side, children growing up without fathers are more likely to drop out of school, be addicted to drugs and alcohol, have children outside of marriage, and end up behind bars. I used to work for Prison Fellowship here in Washington. I used to live here. Right here in Washington, I worked for Prison Fellowship, so we knew a lot of the young men behind bars are from fatherless homes. Today, 40% of American children live apart from their natural fathers. 40%. It is the highest rate of single parenthood in the world. What a thing to be the highest for, single parenthood. On the positive side, we have to help young men see that as fathers, they have a huge impact. Fathers are often made to feel like, well, the mothers are more important. Father's kind of the secondary parent who can do the fun things, but who's not really crucial to the raising of their children. There was an award-winning 35-year longitudinal study. It's a very extensive, very in-depth, that investigated how parents succeed in passing on their moral and spiritual principles, their religious convictions. And the study found two surprising results. First, having a close bond with their father matters more than having a close relationship with one's mother. My female students say, well, that's not fair. And I said, well, it's a fact. You can't argue with facts. Facts don't care about your feelings. In other words, fathers wield influence whether they want to or not. It's just intrinsic to the male character. But second, the relationship with a father must be warm and close. A father can be a leader of the community, a pillar of the church, a moral exemplar, but if he is perceived as cold, distant, and authoritarian, his children will not follow him. They will not accept his religious and spiritual convictions. By the way, there was a smaller study by asking a more focused question, how to raise masculine sons. And it found the same thing. This is so interesting. A father's own masculinity, whether he was sort of macho in a stereotypical sense, was irrelevant. His warmth and closeness with his son was the key factor for creating a secure, stable, healthy sense of masculine identity. So my third point is this. Why not appeal to men's self-interest? I'm not averse to helping men by appealing to their own self-interest. In the social sciences, it has long been assumed that motherhood is natural, biologically based, but that fatherhood is merely cultural. The famous anthropologist Margaret Mead wrote, "Motherhood is a biological necessity, but fatherhood is a social invention." So the message that young men pick up is that fatherhood is not really central to who they are. Nothing could be further from the truth. Fatherhood is not a cultural construct. It's the innate software coded into the male nature by God. Jesus himself treats a father's love for his children as natural. Even men who are not particularly godly have an instinctive sense of how to love and care for their children. Which one of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? You then, though you are evil, you know how to give good gifts to your children. What's fascinating is that today, neuroscience is uncovering the biological evidence to support what Jesus said. In the first few weeks after a baby is born, a father's biochemistry changes. His level of testosterone goes down, which makes him more gentle and patient with small children. But his empathy, his oxytocin rises. Oxytocin is called the bonding hormone because it creates a sense of warmth and attachment. One expert puts it this way: when a man becomes a father, a hands-on dad, he activates his dad brain. There's literally a nest of neurons that would otherwise remain dormant. Becoming a father literally stimulates brain growth. One anthropologist calls the dad brain the title here, the father's neurochemical reward. That's your reward for accepting the responsibilities of fatherhood. Your brain grows. In fact, the most recent research found that the dad brain begins to be activated even before birth. An anthropologist wrote a book and found that a man's oxytocin is rising all through the 9 months of his wife's pregnancy. If they're living together, they have to be living together. So we now know that even before birth, fathers are being biochemically primed to be a full partner in the parenting team. So the message from science is clear. A strong emotional bond between fathers and their children is encoded into the wiring of the male brain. God has designed the male neurochemistry for fatherhood. So we need to help men embrace fatherhood as an important source of their own sense of masculine fulfillment. And if they don't have children of their own, let's address that. Research has found that father substitutes can have a huge impact. So grandfathers, uncles, coaches, teachers can often, it's the same study that found that fathers matter more than mothers. They looked into father substitutes as well. And they said, if you don't have your own kids or your kids have grown and gone, you can still have an incredible impact in terms of mentoring and guiding young men. Wait. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I wrote in the margin, one more note. In the colonial era, one of the most common phrases was that a father is not just a father to his family, he's a father of the community. Isn't that a wonderful phrase? In the colonial era, they called on men to bring their fathering outside the bounds of the home and be a father of the community.